Welcome back to Broken Electronics. I'm Lee, and I am really glad you're able to stop in here and share today's video with me. Now, what we're doing today is a continuation of what I've been doing for the last 2 weeks. And I will say it again, I messed up the release schedule, so I released part 2, then what's basically part 1. Those 2 videos, however, were recorded back to back in 2 successive days. And it was a month or so ago that I did that. Since then, I've been living on that Mac Pro and using it, running macOS Big Sur, and it's been behaving extremely well. I edited those 2 videos as well as some other videos that I've done that have not been released yet, and that's worked very well. It's maybe been slightly slower than I'm used to, but that machine only has 48 gigabytes of RAM as opposed to the 96 that I've got on the Mac Pro that's in front of me. And yes, I did just make excuses for a computer because it only has 48 gigabytes of RAM. The world in which we live. Anyway, I've been waiting specifically for one thing before moving ahead with the updates on my main Mac Pros. The big thing I've been looking at is updates to the operating system. Supposedly the Bensova patcher will now do updates natively there. You should not have to make another USB drive and go through that whole thing, because that would be very awkward. That would get me swapping around graphics cards every time I want to do an update. So this is a pretty big test. Now, in Patcherland, there's been some things going on there too. Bensova released version 0.2 and then 0.2.1 of his patcher. And along with a note complaining about how bad his earlier versions were. Well, 1.2 point whatever worked fine for me. Yeah, that's right. Worked fine for me. But what's supposed to happen when you go to install a new version, when you open the Patched Sur app in Applications, it should then switch you automatically to version 2. Download the new version and install it, and then you go on from there. Well, nothing ventured, nothing gained. This machine is basically a test machine for this. So we're going to see how this update process works. So if you're interested in seeing along with me, please stay tuned. Well, I had done a screen recording clip where I opened up the patcher, went through the process of clicking on install new version or install update. It downloaded the new patcher as I had suspected it would, installed it. I then had to restart the patcher. There's some system settings that needed to be changed, such as library validation was one. The machine had to restart in order to let those new settings take effect. I also found that there is provision for getting notifications from the patcher, from Patched Sur, regarding new versions of the patcher and new versions of Mac OS, particularly updates. For instance, here we're doing 11.3. That's been a problem with patched versions in the past, simply because if you're not watching out carefully, a new version could come out and you would have absolutely no idea. So now there should be notification. Not a problem for me. I've got Macs that natively support Big Sur. I get notifications there when there is a new version, and I tend to watch out for such things anyway. But for a person who's dealing really just with unsupported Mac or Macs, to be able to get that notification from Patched Sur that there is an update to do is very important. Now, we don't know if this is going to work. Right now it's downloading Mac OS, of course. That's normal speeds. It does download from Apple. There's a warning here that the progress bar may break. It has not as of yet. So we don't know for sure that this is going to work, but I'll give a preliminary assessment. So far, this is really slick. I'm enjoying this. Well, anyhow, we'll come back when there's something more to report. So please stay tuned. Well, now that's interesting. Surely it couldn't be that simple. And no, it isn't. Okay. Try that again. Start the macOS update. Okay, so it's doing its downloads now. The download for macOS may take a while. So yeah, it needed to restart to apply the changes that we had just made. Okay, stay tuned. Almost done. And yeah, it's pretty much what happens when you are downloading an update on a supported Mac. You know, it just has to download everything from Apple. And of course, you would go and continue doing other things on your computer. Now, I've been sitting here watching this because, I want to see for myself and document for you exactly what goes on. But yes, indeed, it has been quite smooth. And we're coming to... Interesting that it's kind of nice seeing exactly what's going on down to 4 decimal points. So we're just about at the 12 gig. Coming to it. Just over 12 now. Shouldn't be much more. 12 and a tenth. Yeah, I have to admit, I was not expecting that it was going to keep going like this. Well, it'll be kind of interesting to see exactly what the size of this is. It's obviously at least a little bit more than 12 gigabytes. Well, I'll tell you what. I'll wait this out. I have to stop this. We will switch over to the camera to pick up what happens next. So, here we are. Preparing. Okay, it's extracting patches, starting the installer patches. It says it's going to take a while. All right. So yeah, I think I will in fact this is going to take a while. Okay, so I think we'll shut this down. I'll probably go back to the camera for the next part of this. So, stay tuned. Well, interestingly, it seemed like the preparing progress was stalled at 25.3. Then the window just cut out, didn't tell you anything, there was no interaction required. And the machine has now evidently booted back into the installer. Well, I hope so, but you know, as expected, we are unable to see what's going on because of the graphics card issue. So I, of course, I'm going to just sit here through this entire process, however long it takes. Well, here's the installer. You don't see it. Okay, you don't see it because, let me move this. I put in another screen, and I had you on that other screen. Let's adjust this here. So of course this is only showing on the main monitor, but this is working. So far so good. Okay, I'll finish adjusting the camera here, and yeah, this is going to take a while anyway, so stay tuned. Well, I've got the camera pretty well focused on the screen, about as well as I'm going to anyway. That progress meter has not budged in several minutes here, although based on the experience with installing it in the first place, this takes quite a bit longer than installing on a native machine. So I would imagine none of this is really unexpected. So I'm going to be waiting this out so that you don't have to. Stay tuned. Well, of course, I stepped out of the room for maybe 2 minutes, and when I came back, the screen had gone black. The machine is still on. I see the light over the power button still there. I'm assuming it's doing things that you can only see when you have a Mac flashed graphics card. At least that's what I'm hoping. I will of course hang with it, and I'll be reporting back to you as soon as something actually happens. So stay tuned. And in maybe 20 seconds after I ended that last clip, back comes our screen with the white apple. And now at least we're seeing something happening with the progress. As I pointed out earlier, my experience from when I first installed this takes quite a bit longer, which is fine with me as long as it works. But it's nice to be able to see that something is happening. Okay, based on how fast that progress meter is moving, this is going to take a while, so stay tuned. That's funny. The screen has gone black again. The Mac Pro is still on. On the secondary monitor, there was a bunch of white text on the black that came up. It went so fast I was unable to read any of it, but it only showed in the secondary monitor. It didn't show here. Well, anyhow, I'm still watching and waiting, so stay tuned. Well, that's interesting. The fans on the Mac Pro ramped up, and it looks like we may be in the process of booting, or is it? Well, the progress meter, of course, went substantially up, and I thought it was going to zip all the way. The fans are still ramped up at this point, and they just shut down. I'm sure you can hear that. Okay, let's hang it with son of a gun. If this is in fact complete, something about this Mac. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, yes, 11.3. Mac Pro mid 2010. Of course, that's this machine. But, son of a gun, here we are. All right. Now, I'm just curious. Okay, Wi-Fi is on, and it's not seeing anything, of course. I had it turned off. So I'm assuming we're going to have to patch the texts. Saying Wi-Fi off there. Turn Wi-Fi on. Yeah, we're going to patch the texts. Okay, but no worries. Patch texts. And we'll start doing that. All right. And I assume that when we come back, we're going to see functional Wi-Fi. On my other Mac Pros, I have upgraded the Wi-Fi cards. There really will be nothing to patch. About all there is to patch on this machine is, in fact, the Wi-Fi. Okay, then. Stay tuned. Okay, if you're wondering, you are back on the secondary monitor so that I have full access to the keyboard and mouse again. Patch text, it says restart to finish. So we're going to do that. Maybe. It's not doing it. Nothing's happening. Well, this stinks. Yeah, I click restart to finish and it doesn't restart. Oh well, stay tuned. Well, I tried running Patched Sur again. And what I'm getting here is this click to copy and nothing happens. And there's some tests here. If you need to, you can unpatch text, then repatch them, which might solve a problem. Yeah, I cannot copy that. Mount SPFS, resource busy. All right. Tell you what, I'm just going to try restarting the machine and we shall see what happens. So, stay tuned. Okay, what you've missed, the machine just chimed. Now, of course, we're dealing with a non-flashed, matte flashed video card, so we're not going to see much here. However, it did reboot, it did chime, and we're going to see what happens. Now, I will take pity on you and bring you back when, in fact, something does happen. Stay tuned. Well, okay, the Patched Sur restart to complete the text patching did not work. So what I ended up doing was to do a manual restart, hoping that would work. It's been sitting here with a black screen for quite a while now, which is of course worrisome. Now it may be doing something, it may not, I don't know. I may possibly have broken this, which is why I'm trying it in the test system. I certainly hope not, because I've got some screen recordings in there that I didn't save anywhere else. Oh dear. Well, anyway, I'm going to wait this out a while longer. Stay tuned. Well, it was doing nothing, so I decided to power cycle it. I shut it down, turned it back on. It chimes, but at this point in terms of troubleshooting, I mean, I may have killed the whole installation. If so, no huge disaster. All right. But I think what I need to do in terms of troubleshooting now will be to put the Mac flashed RX 580 back into the machine and get some sort of idea of what's going on as it tries to boot. Stay tuned. Okay, I've got the Mac flashed card in, and of course you may not see anything on the secondary monitor. Waiting for the chime now. Usually it takes a while. This is not unusual. All right, and soon we should see something on the screen. Okay. So it's at least trying to boot up. Interesting, it's showing on the secondary monitor, not the main monitor. Not that I care. Okay. Huh. And here we are. Still saying 11.3. Okay, and the Wi-Fi's on. All right, so it just needed to finish patching the kexts. So it is working. It's worrisome, certainly, but at least nothing's broken. The kext got patched because the Wi-Fi's on there. Now, the good news would be on the other Mac Pros, there won't be a need to patch kexts, because this is just because I have not upgraded the Wi-Fi card. So I'm suspecting the next step. I mean, we can call this a success. That last step does worry you. It didn't quite finish the automated kext patching. And perhaps if I had just, in fact, I would expect if I had just restarted it again with the non-flashed card, it would have booted up, because the kexts were in fact done being patched. Whew. I'll tell you what, I'm going to have to shut it down. And swap back the graphics cards, which is exactly what I was hoping not to have to do. But stay tuned for what I hope will be the final clip. Okay, we are booted up with the non-flashed card. We still have Wi-Fi. No network is selected, but that's okay, because I usually just turn it off anyway. And we're 11.3. All right, so it worked. It was scary, but I'm willing to think there's a reasonably good chance that had I just let it run and maybe rebooted one more time without putting the Mac flashed card in, it would have worked. So I guess the next step is going to be to do the Music Studio, aka Banjo Cave Mac Pro, and see how that one works. Now I'll need to put the Mac flashed card in there to get it installed in the first place, and it should then just install to 11.3, and then do the one in my video studio, aka my bedroom. All right, but in any event, it's pretty much a success. It did work. I am running Big Sur 11.3, So I guess stay tuned for next week. But for now, be good to other people. They need it and deserve it. Be good to yourselves. Everything's got to start from there. We will make the world a better place, but it is not yet, so please take very, very good and careful care in these difficult times. And we're going to be back with you with hopefully the last installment of the saga of Big Sur on the Mac Pro 5.1 from 2010. So we've got that one coming up, certainly. I've got another series of things on Power PCs. There's really a whole lot more coming up. So, until those things are here in the channel, this has been Broken Electronics.